Rab Karmani, Chief of Granaries. The Chief of Granaries, as his title suggests, was in charge of large storage facilities for grain. This is best documented by an administrative record from the 8th century, Kalu, according to which the storehouse Nakamatu, under the responsibility of the unnamed granary master in the land of Bertu, received a total of 12,800 homers of barley rations collected from various different places. Apart from Arba Il, these are mostly unknown. Hence, corn from local centers was stored in the granary of that region, administered by the granary master. The three legal records from 7th century Kalu, Fort Shalmaneser, the unnamed chief of granaries, is concerned with the collection of the corn and straw taxes from royal Ma'utu land. This type of land, which seems to have been maintained land for the king or his household, was apparently placed at the disposal of Samas Au Idina, respectively, who were liable to pay taxes in return for its usufruct. In another administrative record bearing the same archival background as the chief of granaries, Sagal Saru is listed along with 4,000 homers of barley. In the same record also the unknown fodder master, Rab Kasite, is listed above, or Rab Kasite, with 2,000, a certain Kopti with 7,000, and the unknown Rab Danibade with 1,000 homers of barley. And the city of Nineveh is recorded with 3,050 homers of barley, which were collected inter alia from Kirby Il, Sabaneba, and Talmusa, all provincial cities located in the Assyrian heartland north of Nineveh. Since the deliveries were made to Nineveh, the grain amounts in Nineveh and in charge of the officials may have been meant for another final destination, perhaps Kalu, the place where the tablets was found, and the imperial capital at that time. In any case, this document reveals the operation of the barley supply for the urban centers of the Assyrian heartland, something that is also reflected in the administration text, were 70 homers, 7 says of grain. The total imposed upon several men listed in personal name are said to be Anna Nineveh. The chief of granaries also supplied individual palace departments and palace members with grain, as is clear from legal text, recorded administrative procedures. When the chief of granaries Il Amar owes 200 barley rations to be delivered to Dur Surakin, this reflects an official obligation rather than a personal loan. Presumably also Nasr Bel, possibly chief of granaries, who owed 4 barley rations to a certain Manu Ki Arba in late Neo-Assyrian times, acted here in his official capacity, least because the indebted barley is qualified as food fodder, kasutu, which in other legal records from Fort Shalmaneser marks their administrative background. Hence, in both cases, the chief of granary was ex officio obliged to supply amounts of grain which he did not yet manage to deliver. In other cases, the chief of granaries appears as a provider of corn for temple offerings. This can be placed in the context of general duties that were also imposed on other officials, primarily the high state officials, who had appropriated resources at their disposal. According to the letter of the scholar Akullanvanu to the king Assurbanipal, the unnamed chief of granaries is listed among the officials, mainly provincial governors, who did not yet hand in their contributions of barley and emmer for the regular offerings, genu, in the Assur temple. Hence, the chief of granaries and his establishment had separate resources available, independent of the provincial stock of grain. Although the title Rab Karmani explicitly refers to the Karmu, this official never actually occurs in association with such an installation. Rather, the chief of granaries is once recorded as being responsible for a storage facility called Nakamater, a term which is otherwise often used to refer to treasury or treasury houses containing precious metals or associated with horses. Thus, the Nakamatu did not serve exclusively as a storage facility for grain, as was the case with the Karmu, since one would nevertheless assume that the Rab Karmani was responsible for the establishments designated Karmu in the Neo-Assyrian sources. Another relevant reference to the Karmu, the only Neo-Assyrian attestation written with the determinative, occurs in a letter of Amr Ili, who may have been active in Arab Il. Here, Amr Ili reports to the king that the Karmu between the Betquat storehouse of the Sapan Saki palace supervisor has fallen down. This incident might or might not have taken place in the city of Arbi-Il, Amr Ili's possible place of work, but it is shown that the Karmu was an urban installation, well integrated into the cityscape and rather close to the representative buildings, i.e. the palace. The Karmu was administered by provincial authorities, the deputy governor, but had a particular connection to the king and his household, judging by its description of the king. This, together with the other evidence, indicate that the Middle Assyrian system is installing royal granaries in provincial capitals was maintained in the Neo-Assyrian period. In addition to this, however, the source of the Neo-Assyrian period also refers to a Karmu of the Nabu temple and of the house of the skilled men, Manu, while in the Middle Assyrian text, Karmu of the Assur temple and of the individuals may be attested. Hence, Karmu was also used as a generic term for the storage facility of grain, and the Rab Karmani was not responsible for all of these individual establishments, but, as noted, he took care of the granaries, whether designated Karmu or not, of the royal household, which were administered separately from the provincial ones. Apart from his general duties to provide grain for offerings in the Assur temple, he does not seem to have been concerned with the corn supply for temples. Although chronologically removed from each other, the geographical attributions of the Rab Karmani referring to provinces, provincial capitals, and other places in the Assyrian center, Nineveh, Meganuba, and north of it, Bertu, indicate that several such officials were active for the royal household at a time. There is no indication that they were hierarchically organized, but instances where the office of the Rab Karmani is listed together with the provincial governors suggest that there existed one main representative.